Gaming, and today I want to start the video by telling you that I'm sorry. Specifically, Yrel, I am sorry. I made a couple of videos questioning about whether or not you should be in the game, whether you were fun, what was the point, blah 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 blah. I was a hater. I hated on you, and I am sorry I didn't get to know the real you underneath all the two-handed mace shouldn't be a tank QQ blah blah, or the confusing game mechanics that seemed dumb at first. Then I had an awakening. Specifically, I just played as Yrel to make some funny videos, and then I kept playing as her, and again, and now, and this is not an exaggeration, she's easily my favorite hero in game. Honestly, like, go to my Instagram account if you don't believe me and look at all the fan art I've been collecting. It's starting to get a little weird. The other night, I asked my girlfriend to put on hooves when we made intimate times. I even considered trying to play through Warlords of Draenor just so I could get her origin story. That's how real this is, people! So with that apology out of the way, let's get into the meat of this video, what I've learned, and why I love Yrel now. So what happened? How'd she change my mind? Simply enough, I stopped trying to play her like other warriors and decided to build a strategy around her toolkit, and I found out that she actually plays a lot like a World of Warcraft profiling. You want to leap ahead of the enemy and then push them back to your team. Her standard EDW combo, which is just like facing the boss away from your group in WoW. You can self-heal for a little bit, just enough to keep you standing until a healer gets his face out of his ass and saves you. You can even talent into an insta-mount like a WoW Palace Charger. This is all cool, but it doesn't explain why I love playing her now. Well, I told you that, so I can tell you this. She is the embodiment of all my days as a tank in WoW. She is slow but sturdy, she attracts attention by leaping into the middle of the fray, but can sustain herself somewhat until your team catches up to you. She can make crazy good plays with her hammer swing that volleyballs the enemy team's DPS to your team's meat grinder and lap away the enemy's counterfire. She's also difficult to master, something that the Blues pointed out in the recent update. But well worth it once you start to get her moves down. So how do you do that? Let's get into the meat of my argument for Yrel. Yrel is a frontline tank that has a fair amount of self-sustain, which can be talented into a decent amount of self-heal if the situation is right. She has good mobility with her E, and her entire level 7 talent tier is dedicated to increasing her mobility situationally. This is the key to Yrel. You have to be aware of what you're facing and build for it. Otherwise, you'll be left missing the mark on leaps, getting fried by the enemy team, and vainly trying to keep yourself alive with vindication while getting chased behind your own walls. Not pretty. Although she seems clunky and slow, part of her toolkit is knowing A, how much to charge each attack for a situation, and B, using her traits strategically to mollywop the enemy. Her positioning is critical because if you use her Righteous Hammer and clip a runner, they're just going to get a good head start on your team and you're going to feel like an idiot and get blamed. However, dropping into the enemy backline with her E and using an instant hammer to stun the enemy team and push them all out of position is a thing of true beauty, akin to the Mona Lisa or velvet print Elvis painting. So let's talk about abilities. Her Q is Vindication. This is Yrel's AoE damage and self-heal. It can be talented to reduce enemy damage at level 13 when it's fully charged, and to give more healing and have a bigger radius at level 1. This is a good combo partner with her E if you're doing wave clear or if you're jumping into the middle of a group of low health enemies. Another nifty little trick I've learned is that, especially when talented, you can use it to snag a nearby runner who's almost gone but just out of melee range. You don't have to fully charge for it to reach its full radius, and if they're almost dead, it's an easy way to seal the deal. Her W is Righteous Hammer. For anyone interested, this is also the name of my 70s style blaxploitation film about a carpenter in Harlem who beats drug dealers to death with a hammer. Anyways, her W is a charge attack that does more damage and briefly stuns at full charge. One of her more iconic combos is using her E and then trading her W to bash the enemy backline into your team. It's also useful to push pursuit off of you at low health or to de-stealth those sneaky little cloaked assassins that circle you like sharks before taking a chunk out of your ass. The knockback happens at any charge level, so you can use this to reposition the enemy team by sacrificing the stun. Her E is Avenging Wrath. Trying to run down runners with her E is a fool's errand unless your trade is up and they aren't too far ahead of you. The weird thing about it is that her E has a hang time that's just a fraction of a second too long to make it an excellent chase. Couple that with its slowing effect when you start to channel, and it's only good sometimes. Most of the E is your charge and engage. It's also a really good setup tool to build a combo on. You can drop in from the bush and smash bros their DPS line out of position, or drop into a team fight with an instant vindication to make their healer crap their pants. One of her most interesting mechanics, and mastery of it takes some time, so don't be frustrated if you suck at first. Our two ultimates, Sacred Ground and Ardent Defender, are defensive choices, although with different applications. Sacred Ground concentrates a circle and provides you with 40 armor as long as you stay inside the ring. This is good for dropping into teamfights, bosses, or cruiser camps, or when going hoof to toe with an enemy key. The weakness of it is that it requires you to stay within the circle to get the bonus, and the circle disappears when you leave it. Keep this in mind if you're fighting a team with lots of push-pull like Alaric or Diablo. They can negate your ult by simply moving you a few steps and then hammering your low. whatever that means. Her other ult, Ardent Defender, turns her invulnerable and absorbs all damage and returns half of that damage as health. This is a good means of diving and not dying, but the downside is that literally all the enemy team has to do is ignore you for this to be ineffective. The upside is that 9 times out of 10 they won't do that. We as humans just have an irresistible urge to bat at anything shiny that's in our face. We're not unlike cats in that way, I guess, and there's just something tantalizing about a big glowy orb with a Draenei in it that gets DPS's mouth watering. Either way, the downside is only a downside if you're fighting a really good team. Otherwise, this is a surprisingly, some would say depressingly, effective ult. So in this video, I'm doing something a little different. Instead of listing out a bunch of different builds for her, I'm going to give you my basic general purpose build with suggested tweaks for fighting specific enemies. In general, Yrel can build to have some support capabilities, like a prop pally with some heal talents. She can build to be more aggressively tanky and crank her CC and utility up. She can also build to deal slightly more damage and be more of a pursuit finisher. Interestingly enough, it seems like Blizzard wanted to truly model her on the idea of WoW Paladins, but had to stay within the confines of Hero of the Storm's class definition. I'm interested to see if this gets changed in the future, as I think she would be a very interesting and viable multi-class, but for the time being, let's make lemonade with the lemons that we have here and now. I prefer to play Yrel more tanky than supporty. She has a lot more to offer either way, but I find that most teams need a strong tank more than anything, so I try to focus on what my team needs besides a frontal lobotomy. I'll start off by looking at the enemy team. Lots of physical DPS, especially quick attack assassins like Tracer or Valera, and I'll take Dauntless. If my healer is limited or non-existent, thanks Quick Match, then I'll go for either Maraud's Insight or Light of Carivore. This is the most situational choice for her build, and for me, it's informed by what I'm facing. At level 3, I gift of the Naru unless we're fighting a Malfurion who's halfway decent, then it's Hand of Freedom time. I prefer to help sustain my team when they're fighting with me, and it's actually a pretty decent sized heal, so it doesn't feel like a total throwaway. By level 7, I have a good idea of what we're facing in terms of skill and ability. If they're actually good and watch what I'm doing to avoid my channels, I'll take Divine Steed to help position myself, but otherwise I prefer Righteous Momentum. It lets me charge my W and walk around the enemy to slap them into my team like a hockey puck. A squishy, blood-filled hockey puck. For ults, I usually choose Ardent D because people really cannot resist batting at a shiny ball with a cute Draenei in it. It also lets me draw attention away from the DPS and support by dropping into the enemy team like a wrecking ball, and let me tell you, I've never hit so hard in love. As I was saying, after that I take Alder Peacekeeper at 13 and Templar's Verdict at 16, reducing enemy damage and armor. It's a pretty solid concept. Finally at 20 I take Word of Glory for this build to supplement my team's staying power, but remember to be close to your team when it goes off or you're not going to get much out of it. So I'm going to wrap up this video today because I've got more Yrel matches to go play, but I hope you really enjoyed this video and my heartfelt apology for being a closed-minded idiot before. I am Hurdled, this is my gaming channel, and I thank you for joining and supporting me, and I will see you in the Nexus.